Hey everyone, Dan here. Before we get into it, if you enjoy these videos, please hit the like and subscribe button, and keep in mind that these are my own thoughts, opinions, and ideas. These are not meant to be, nor should you take them as investment or trading advice in any way, shape, or form. Do your own due diligence, put in the work for yourself, and make your decisions based on that. Enjoy. All right, folks, here we are on Thursday, November 30th. We're going to take a look at GameStop today. So I received a message the other day that said thousands of people are going to NYC for GameStop in a couple weeks. GameStop stock might go crazy for a couple of weeks. Hope you do a video. So I thought, all right, GameStop, I should come take a look. And that happened to be when it was going buck wild yesterday, up over 20% and much higher than that at points. The day before that, it was up over 13%. And today, now coming back down a little bit, a little over 10.5%. So I put together a little chart here and wanted to go over it, and then we'll take a look at the think or swim study and call it a video. Now, just to clear this out of the way before we get too deep into it, I just do chart analysis. So if you want to talk about shorts or manipulation or whatever else, this is just a chart. So if you're not into charts and looking at levels, trend lines, that sort of thing, this is not the video for you. You don't need to leave me a big review about how terrible it is to make a chart. That's all that I do here. There's very few other things that I do stock-wise besides charts. So just to be aware. Okay, so first things first, obviously there's now this big gap, which was partially filled in today, but it's in the gap if it's below 1470 and above 1355. So we're in the gap right now. So interested to see what happens there. There is a level around like just above $14. So 1401, I have it probably just acts as that sort of approach to $14 psychological level. And so that's situated within the gap there, relatively-ish in the middle, a little bit lower. But yeah, so just to note, it's in the gap. There's that level on there. Now I did put a few levels on here. I didn't want to clutter the chart too much because that's a trap that I can fall into, and they become hard to read and really obnoxious to look at. So these levels I felt were probably the strongest, but just know between some of the levels that are relatively spread out, there's probably some smaller, more granular levels in there. So just keep that in mind. Okay, so the levels as I see it, if it does push back through and gets back out of this gap before filling it, 1553, or probably just like we say, like that 1550 psychological level, 16 on the nugget, just not because it's 16, but that's the actual level, it just happened to be 16. Then here's a little bit of an oddball, 1732, 1835. I don't know if I put anything, oh, and then I put one way up here. There's going to be other levels, but if it does get above 1835, we can come do an additional video if folks are interested. But I did have a level way up here at 2305, so just a little above 23. Now, if it does dip down into this gap further, like I said, 1401, I have potentially cuts it off from filling the gap if it wants to get some support there and then head back north. We'll see. If it does fill the gap, 1355. If it slips below that, that's always my concern, is something comes down into a gap and then just sort of like the momentum carries it through the gap, and it's hard to sort of get the momentum back from the bears. 1279, 1280 is the level below the gap that I feel is sort of the first really strong one. So those are the levels as I see it. Don't have any trend line developing at the moment. Obviously it was under this downtrend resistance here as well as here. It broke those. And so now the question is it going to get sucked back down into those, or is it going to be able to get some distance, whether that's through moving sideways or moving upward, and leave those downtrend resistances behind? We'll see. Now, on the think or swim side of things, this did push the price action up out of the upper bound of the channel. And we can see we just focus sort of like in this area. It was hugging the mid-range of the channel for a while, and then it really just started to push down, right? Down out of the channel, came back, was able to test the mid-range again, but then just every time it tested the mid-range, it got pushed off resistance and back to or through the bottom bound of the channel. Now, because of those big pushes that we spoke about earlier, a couple of days ago and then yesterday, up out of the channel, drawing back into the channel today. So now the question becomes, is it going to come through to test the mid-range, which is situated like mid-13s at the moment, or is it going to be able to catch support earlier than the mid-range and sort of play out some longer-term bullish momentum? That's kind of the crossroads that I see it at the moment. Interesting, on the TTM squeeze indicator, it was triggering. Had a few like brief fires, right? It's really herky-jerky triggering fire, but it was triggering for several days, and now it's, the firing has begun. So the question is this the move? Is this like the kickoff of the move upward, or was this the counter move that's now gonna set off the actual full tilt fire move and draw it down? And if so, even that roller coaster, even if it's relatively quick, would have been a pretty good call out by the TTM squeeze indicator here. You do see lower volume. Maybe you can see it better here on the Webull chart. Lower volume on today's down day than we had yesterday for sure. Huge volume yesterday, 61 million. Today just 16 million. And then a couple days ago, a little over 14 million. That's sort of kicked off that push. So this is my question at the moment. What does this draw into the channel look like? Are we going to mid-range? Are we going to really set off the TTM squeeze firing mechanism? Is it going to catch support on this upper mid-range where it is right now and sort of continue on its way? We'll see. But as we heard in that comment that I got that even prompted me to look at GameStop, there's many catalysts at play that are outside of charts for GameStop. And so I still think it's valuable, at least for me, to come in and look at GameStop or any stock's chart. Whether other folks agree with that or not, it's up to you, but it's just me. All right, folks, I hope that you have had a good trading week and that you finish off strong tomorrow. And as always, I appreciate you watching, and I will see you in the next video.